Welcome to the Alabama Estate Planning Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to an all-new episode of the Alabama Estate Planning Podcast with attorney Harlan Mitchell. I am your host, Mike Leon. Harlan here is the founder of Bama Estate Planning by Harlan D. Mitchell Legal Services. He's an Alabama native with decades of experience helping families protect their assets, avoid that unnecessary conflict, and prepare for life's unpredictable moments through thoughtful estate, elder law, and long-term care planning. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Medicaid asset protection and why planning ahead makes such a difference in the state of Alabama. Harlan, it's good to see you as always. And before we actually dive into the specifics on this topic, can you kind of explain what is Medicaid asset protection and why does it matter for families in the state of Alabama?
Well, good to see you again, Mike, and it's thank you for having me on this show. Medicaid asset protection generally refers to legal planning that's allowed under the federal statutes regarding Medicaid so that your assets will not be countable when you apply for Medicaid. And it takes some specific planning to meet the requirements of the federal statutes.
Okay. So can I ask you then, when we talk about families and long-term care, like I mentioned in the intro, what tends to be the moment for them that they realize that paying for the care out of pocket can kind of drain the savings a little bit much faster than they were expecting?
Well, in 2025, the average average cost for a semi-private room in Alabama in a nursing home was $8,500. And you're talking about almost $100,000 per year just to stay in the nursing home, and that will eat up savings quickly.
Yeah, that will eat up savings quickly if you times that by 12. Can you explain, Harlan, for us as well about, I know Medicaid has a look back period. How does it work in the state of Alabama? Why is it becoming a problem when people potentially wait until the crisis unfolds to start their planning?
Well, when they wait till the crisis happens, there's very limited options that we have. And any transfer or gift within that 5-year look back period turns into you're going to have to pay the value of that gift or transfer before Medicaid will begin to pay for it.
Harlan, can you also explain what tends to happen when someone tries to maybe give away assets too closely when they're applying for Medicaid or they move assets? Does that affect eligibility?
It does. It still falls within that 5-year look back rule. And if they have transferred it within the 5 years, Medicaid is going to count that as an asset. And the value of that asset is going to be required to pay for your care at the nursing home before Medicaid will start paying for it.
Harlan, in previous episodes, we've talked about irrevocable trust, excuse me. How do tools like that help families protect home savings while they're still preparing for the possibility of needing that said long-term care?
Well, there is a specific 5-year irrevocable trust that if it's placed in, everything's placed into that trust, and you make 5 years before you have to apply for Medicaid, then your assets are protected. However, if you don't make the 5 years and you go in, and I kind of like to relate it to this, the nursing home's going to charge sticker price, Medicaid's going to reimburse them for invoice price. So if the nursing home's charging $10,000 a month, Medicaid's paying them $7,000. When you pass, the money in that irrevocable trust, Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, will then be used to pay the state back the money, not the nursing home value. So you'll actually save some money by putting it there, even if you don't make the 5 years.
Mm. Harlan, I'm sure that you get this a lot as an attorney, but what are some common misunderstandings that Alabama families may have about Medicaid, who it covers, who qualifies, how the assets are treated? What are some common misunderstandings that the Alabama families have come to you with?
They generally don't understand that there's a monthly income limit. If you have retirement, Social Security, and it exceeds for 2026 $2,982 a month, you will not be eligible for Medicaid. But there are ways to transfer that money to get your income down, and plus you cannot have more than $2,000 of assets in your name when you apply for Medicaid.
Those numbers, I'm sure a lot of people don't know that. That's great information for folks out there. Harlan, let me ask you, can you kind of, obviously without getting into intricate client details, but can you share a situation where maybe planning early protected a client of yours home or their life savings, and what made the outcome possible?
I'd had a family come to me and they wanted to protect their farm, their equipment, so it could pass down to the children. So we set everything up in a trust, set it up long term, and they survived the 5 year look back period. So when they actually had to apply for Medicaid, and we did other steps to transfer property into the beneficiaries' names, and it just wound up that the nursing home Medicaid was approved, yet the farm and all the farm equipment was kept for the children.
Well, that's great to hear. Harlan, one other point on the Medicaid planning, because what we didn't mention was if someone is married versus them being single, how does that Medicaid planning kind of change, especially if one spouse may need the care sooner than the other spouse?
It varies by each individual situation, of course, but one thing about it is that the spouse not needing the care is allowed $162,660 in assets. And if she's not making the 2982 a month this year, she's allowed a minimum maintenance monthly allowance, and we can transfer money from his income to her so she can have a sustainable amount to live on. And there's just numerous, it's all fact specific to the couple.
Yeah. Harlan, I love that you know the specific dollar amounts and details. This is what this is what the audience needs to know, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know that stuff. So, as we kind of wrap on this episode, what would you want a family in Alabama right now who's listening to this? Maybe they aren't facing the crisis just yet, but what would you want them to do or start doing to be prepared to think about down the road so they aren't scrambling later on?
I wish they'd call, make an appointment with us, and let us talk to them, see what what their problems are, what they're anticipating, and let us try to give them a structure to follow so that they can avoid a crisis.
That's right. You want to avoid the crisis. I know a lawyer that can help. Harlan, thank you so much for the time, the insights, and explaining all this to the audience. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of the Alabama Estate Planning Podcast. If you want to learn more, you want to connect with Harlan and the team over at Bama Estate Planning, do me a favor, visit bamaestateplanning.com right now. You're going to find the resources there that are going to help protect your family, your assets, and give you that peace of mind. Thank you again for listening. One more favor, hit like, hit subscribe, share the episode with an Alabama family that needs to start planning and needs to talk to an attorney today. As always, I'm Mike Leon. We'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.